Hello, and welcome back to the Fae Banner Review, where we talk about new heroes. Actual new heroes. We have never been so back, folks. Today, we have a brand new genealogy banner featuring an assortment of new characters and alts for a variety of characters. Actual variety and not variety by Three Houses standards, and as per tradition, I will be using this coveted line graph that may or may not be a line graph at the end of the day to rank the brand new genealogy banner, as well as the circle graph that may or may not be a circle at the end of the day alongside it. Today's rankings will be based on how much movement the average unit gets nowadays, and if you want more awesome and cool content in your life, or if you want to make me a bit happy, then make sure to subscribe to the channel. Thank you, I'd really appreciate it. First up, we have Lachesis, and she's the attuned unit of the banner. And what seems like tradition for genealogy units, she was also drawn by Suzuki Rika, and it looks amazing as usual. Thank you for all your contributions. And as for what Lachesis herself contributes, she comes with Lionheart Axe, which is a slaying axe with built-in Canto distance. It has the standard 25 true damage, 15 true damage reduction, additional 15 true damage reduction on foe specials. For herself and any ally within 3 rows and columns of Lachesis, they get Spectrum stats, 15 for herself and 5 for allies, additional Spectrum stats based on the highest bonus between the target and foes within 2 spaces of them, adaptive damage, and 7 HP when dealing damage to a foe during combat, on top of Red Style that allows Lachesis to act as a red unit during combat once per turn. She also comes with a pure FB skill in as LevinWood, which inflicts -7 speed defense and res, exposure, and discord on the closest foes and any foe within 2 spaces of them at the start of the turn and after taking an action. It inflicts -5 spectrum during combat, grants 20% speed-based true damage and true damage reduction, has full no follow-up, and grants upwards of 2 special jumps before her first attack based on the amount of spaces moved. This doesn't seem that great. It's weird to say because she has like 15 effects in her kit, but it really feels like she's just a slightly stronger generic combat unit. She has a bunch of stat swings, null follow-up, true damage reduction, red style, special jumps, and so on, but it's nothing all that standout-ish. At the very least, the amount of stats she can swing is a solid amount between her B skill inflicting visible debuffs, discord, and her weapon providing a bonus stealing effect. It's a fair bit more than the average, but it's not so much either that it will have any noticeable impact. Honestly, her B skill more or less just feels like a stronger momentum or impetus guard, which is fine, but it's really just that. I like that it gives her special jumps even when enemy phasing, which can prove somewhat useful. Which is the last thing I could say about her adaptive damage. The adaptive damage won't really be that useful in many cases because all the new save skills disable it by default. Those are the enemies you have to worry about first and foremost. I think if it worked with AoE specials, then it might have had an okay application, but that might be stretching it. I think Lachesis' red style is supposed to be the large distinction here, but I don't think that's enough by itself. It'll help her beat Harmonic Brave Ike, I guess, although it's not like he hasn't been beaten into the ground over the past 3 months anyway. To give some credit though, this definitely has a lot more of an impact combat-wise than a lot of the other effects we tend to see, especially with stuff like Arc Rival. The color change can make or break a lot of combats, but besides their style, everything just feels like a slightly upgraded version of any generic combat unit we've seen for the past several months. I'd hardly say what Lachesis does is awful, but I don't think it's enough either, which is unfortunate because units do so much nowadays. She definitely feels like she was built with being foddered in mind. And speaking of which, Lachesis also comes with Arc Rival, Attack Speed Bellow, Attack Speed Rival Break, which is basically just newer Attack Speed Excel, and a brand new Echo skill in however you pronounce that. It grants 5 first hits true damage reduction and Potent Follow 100% if the unit can make a speed check and doesn't have a Brave effect active. Can't go one banner without Potent on it, huh? Have Echo skills gone too far? Actually, we had Momentum Echo last month, so this feels about right. In a weird balancing decision, they made it so the Potent effect doesn't work on units with Brave, which is actually really nice of them to do. It makes it a bit less appealing, of course, but it probably would have been a bit too much if units could get 5 attacks with no damage penalty. But even beyond the Potent, it still has some true damage reduction in it, which is solid enough. I like this Echo skill a lot. There's also Rival Break, which basically grants way more stats, 7 true damage, and some extra true damage reduction compared to Excel. That skill has been in the game for a while at this point, so an upgrade was inevitable. It also doesn't feel as bad since it wasn't introduced less than a year ago, looking at Tempest Burst over there. Besides that, it's more splashable fodder for the most part. Can't really go wrong with Arc Rival and Attack Speed Bellow? Okay, maybe not that one, but Arc Rival is good, and so is Lachesis. Is what I wish I could say. They really did her dirty here. And other than that, that sure is Lachesis. Lachesis unfortunately doesn't have a lot going for her besides the red style, and even then I don't think that's enough by itself. We did have this on New Year Baldur, but the difference between them is that Baldur is one of the most obnoxious units in the game right now. At the very least, I'm glad we have a one less ridiculous unit to deal with, and for what it's worth, Lachesis should be able to function somewhat. The trailer isn't helping me believe that's the case, though. Next, there's Claud, the first Claud, not the one everyone actually knows. He's our latest and greatest pity breaker, which is not a high bar, but at least he's the greatest of the units that will potentially ruin your summoning session, or maybe he'll be slightly redeemable as a unit. Let's find out. Let's see. Claud comes with Valkyrie, which is a wrathful slaying staff that grants allies within 3 rows and columns of him Spectrum 5, 7 true damage, 7 true damage reduction, a special jump of 1 before their first attack, and once per map miracle, while Claud gets Spectrum 15 during combat, 25 true damage, 15 true damage reduction, a guaranteed follow-up attack, breath, and a special jump of 1 before his first attack. That's not too shabby. This isn't anything we haven't already seen in the game several times over, but that doesn't make it bad at least. Giving out Miracle is still a really strong effect, and in Claud's case, it's coupled with extra stats, true damage, and true damage reduction. Him being a healer also helps him out a ton here since he can continue to dip into support. We recently got dual support, which is a great option, but unlike all the other boring and lame and stupid infantry, Claud gets access to more options because he's not a boring and lame and stupid infantry unit. He's just boring. Claud could use Preempt Amplify, Guardian Plus, the other stuff every other infantry unit gets. Okay, it's not a lot of extra stuff, but it's a bit more at least. I think if he were a flyer or even a cavalry unit, he'd probably be in a lot better of a position purely on a support basis. But at least there's stuff he could work with since he's a staff unit, which will carry him further than a lot of other units. And that's not even accounting for his combat niche, which is boring and lame and stupid. Next, Claud also comes with Ice Lock, Attack Res Havoc, Silence Ward, and Fire Flood Charm, which is basically the same healer special we've been getting lately, but now it grants attack and res liberate. That's pretty good stuff. Ice Lock in the normal pool is really great to see after all this time. It's still a really good skill even now, which is the last thing I could say about Silence Ward. Okay, it's not bad, but it's pretty niche at the moment. Havoc is also Havoc, which could be worse. But as far as normal pool fodder goes, this is really good stuff. And as far as pity breakers go, it's the best one we've got in all book at least. Unfortunately, he's sharing with Ignat, so it's a 50-50 chance on whether you end up with something remotely usable. And other than that, that sure is Claud. Claud is fine. He's fine, yeah. As far as support units go, he's got some nice stuff going on between the stats, true damage, damage reduction, miracle stuff. It's not the best of the best as far as support options go, but he's a lot more usable than many other normal pool units are. And to me, that's pretty good. To the reserves you go. And then there's Naoise. Naoise?
I am Nisha, a knight of Chalfi.
That is not how I thought they'd pronounce it. Anyway, he's the demote of the banner, and you know what that means. He's bad. But how bad, you may be wondering? Well, Nisha comes with Shackle Lance Plus, which inflicts -7 speed and defense, speed shackle, and defense shackle on the closest foes and any foe within 2 spaces of them at the start of the turn, and after taking an action, it grants Spectrum 5 during combat, 20 true damage, and 15 true damage reduction. Wait, that's actually really sick. It's just the arena weapons, but as a lance, which I like a fair bit. They're decent support weapons, and they also work well enough as filler options for the Asker trio. It's a weird time to drop it considering we just got Ingrid's new arcane lance, but this isn't too shabby all things considered. I'd certainly take it over whatever Marcus had last month. He really set a new low for demotes last month, it's kinda crazy. Nisha also comes with Ignis, Attack Defense Clash, and Attack Defense Near Trace. You know, Attack Defense Clash may not be the craziest thing ever, but the fact that it wasn't Defense Res Clash makes it seem like the best demote skill we've gotten in over a year. It's a decent pre-fodder skill though for anything that needs Attack Defense Clash 3 pre-fodder. The other 2 skills are fine enough, but I think between the A skill and Shackle Lance, this is definitely one of the better demotes we've gotten in a fair bit. That doesn't say a lot, does it? And other than that, that sure is Nisha. He's generic, what else is there to say? One of the better ones, at least given the inheritables though. If he's lucky, he won't have the Marcus stat line. Oh, he got the Lowen stat line. That's not good. And last we have Sigurd and Eldigan as our duo hero this time around. This is our 3rd male-male duo ever, which is crazy to think about, but then you remember this is Fire Emblem Heroes, so no one should really act shocked about that. While I'm not a huge fan of duos on new heroes banners, at least in Genealogy's case, they're almost out of characters at this point, so it doesn't feel as bad, but thankfully, they made sure to instill that feeling into his unit design. Get ready for this one, folks. They come with Oath Tearfang, which is a slaying sword with built-in canto distance. It grants a special jump of 1 at the start of the turn, truly incited, and the guaranteed follow-up attack status to himself and any ally within 2 spaces at the start of the player phase or enemy phase. It grants Spectrum 15 during combat, 25 true damage that also works with AoE specials, 15 true damage reduction, an additional 15 true damage reduction when a foe special goes off, Miracle once per combat, and it restores 7 HP after combat. He also comes with a PRF special and a Holy Nightglow, which is a 4 cooldown AoE special that grants Gallop at the start of the turn, has 40% special damage reduction. If his special is ready or goes off before combat, he applies a frozen check on the foe during combat. His first follow-up attack deals 80% of his defense stat, and after combat, if his special went off, he grants extra movement to every ally on the map, neutralizes the stall penalty, and inflicts frozen on any foe within range of his special. On top of a dual button that grants 2 special jumps and Gallop to himself and allies within 2 spaces of him. This is the shortest dual button Faye has ever written, and it's also the most horrifying dual button Faye has ever made. I thought this would happen someday, but I didn't think that day would be today. Turns out we're at a point where Gallop can be freely given out to an entire team. And do you know what that means? That's right, more 8 ranged units. Don't you guys love range power creep? Honestly, that could be an entire video of its own. For what it's worth, it's not like we couldn't already do this with Alphador, so I guess it's technically the next step. This is still terrifying though. I think what makes the button especially good is that it also gives out 2 special jumps, which can allow for more units to abuse all kinds of specials. How about a baby Claud with 8 range, 3 space style with an AoE special, and inflicts gravity after? Doesn't that sound really fun to fight? That's also not including the truly incited bonus he gives out for even more stat swings, which is oh so fun. I think the saving grace here is that it's tied to a dual button, which means this will only ever be relevant in summoner duels, aka the mode that most people here don't care about. You won't ever have to deal with any of the scary stuff in any other mode. At least until Brave Sigurd shows up and it's no longer tied to a button. I think as far as he himself goes though, he definitely has some notable flaws. The big one is with ice existing, which can easily prevent him from initiating onto a foe. Corn Ring is especially common, so it's not like this won't be relevant. You're probably going to want to run Uma Lin support or the new Ninian for range 2 style just so he could get around it a bit more. Besides that though, he should hit decently hard, and unlike Emblem, Duo has a lot of bulk attached to him. Innate Miracle and all the damage reduction he has built into his kit means he'll be a really safe initiator. Duo also doesn't have Gale Force in his kit, which may seem like a downside, but this is specifically designed for summoner duels in mind. Sitting in place after initiating combat means he just get blown up most likely, so being able to run away after is pretty great. Honestly, the fact that he neutralizes stall after giving extra movement out is crazy work, but it'd feel pretty bad if he didn't, considering Heimdallr is everywhere, and inflicting frozen on everyone after is just another cherry on top of it all. But like I said, I think he's only going to have relevance in that mode only, so don't you guys, gals, and all the other pals worry. You won't have to deal with him until they drop the newer, stronger version later this year. They are going to nerf Gallop into the ground this year, I could already feel it. Sigurd also comes with Attack Defense Rival Break, Impetus Guard, and Attack Defense Outcry Seize, which are all just stat variants of other aforementioned skills. Yep, that's neat. Another version of Rival Break is nice. Impetus Guard is still pretty new, so it could only be so bad. Another Outcry Seize to try and bury Nurgle into the ground again. They really regret making him that strong, huh? There's really nothing to say here that hasn't already been said, but they are good skills. That said, I can't imagine anyone would want to fodder him over keeping him, because he could do the funny override thing. But red. Override. And other than that, that sure is Duo Sigurd and Eldigan. This is just a newer, stronger version of Emblem Sigurd, who is still decent. Okay, meh, he's kinda meh. Although Duo doesn't have Gale Force like Emblem, so it's at least somewhat different. Duo provides a lot of good support on top of being a really solid combat unit himself, which I think will let him age well. Unless they drop a newer version of Stall this year that gets around Gallop, I don't see how he falls off anytime soon. That said, he's really going to shine in summoner duels the most because of his Gallop support being tied to his button. It's actually why, in a weird sense, I don't think he's that necessary to grab. It won't really do much anywhere else beyond arena scoring stuff either because of Duel's hindrance or it not being necessary in other areas of the game, but that's fine. He's still mostly a stronger Emblem Sigurd who could red override, so that's only so bad. Override! And then for our Grand Hero battle unit, we have Lamia. I honestly don't remember her whatsoever, so I'm going to assume she was some throwaway boss or something. Tamagia will have to wait another day, I suppose. Anyway, we have no idea what she does, but hopefully she has something nice. And that's about it. Yep. Okay, bye. And now that we've gone over the brand new genealogy units, I think it's time we rank the banner on the line graph that may or may not be a line graph at the end of the day. And would you look at that? The brand new genealogy banner has earned a 10 out of 10 on the line graph. And based on my understanding of the banner, I believe that it would be best fit somewhere around this area of the circle graph. The banner is awesome and cool, but the value brings it down significantly. But it is a really peak banner, and you may be wondering to yourself, how long until they take the best unit here and drop a newer version of them? The answer may not surprise you, but is it worth going out of your way for? Probably not. As much as I like the banner, it's not really that amazing overall. The obvious standout is Duo Sigurd because giving Gallop to allies is really strong. The only problem with that is that it's tied to his button, which means it's only ever going to see use in summoner duels, but that's okay because a majority of the fanbase really loves that mode. Besides that though, he's basically just a newer version of his emblem variants, which is nice enough. He'll definitely be useful for Aetherite's offense clearing at least, but I don't think he's that necessary to grab otherwise. Claud is yet another unit that gives out Drive Miracle and some extra support, which is solid. He does have the angle of being a healer, which lends itself well into even more support options. That said, it's something we haven't already seen before, but it's not bad whatsoever. Lachesis, I think, got done dirty because she has a lot of stuff that doesn't really amount to much in the end. A lot of what she has isn't anything we haven't already seen on most generic combat units. It's really the red style that differentiates her from many of them, but I don't think it's that huge of a jump compared to what we already see on every other unit. I think she needed a bit more to stand out, but at least her fodder's nice. And Nisha is a step up from Marcus at least. Overall, the banner isn't that great, and I'd hardly say it's worth going out of your way for unless you really like them or you care about summoner duels. The best banner you could pull on currently is probably the Young Three Houses banner we got not too long ago. I would say the Emblem Lucina banner, but that depends on when you watch this. That banner is going away once the genealogy banner shows up, so better hurry if you care about it. The Three Houses banner has a really amazing Aetherite's offense unit in Edelgard and a really strong demote in Claud with some decent fodder from Felix and Ingrid. I'd probably say it offers more overall value than this banner at least, but you could also hold off on summoning there too. There's always the end of the month banner potentially having something enticing, so you could just wait for now. But besides that, you really can just hold off from summoning TBH, 2BH, to be quite H. Place your bets. How different do you think Brave Sigurd will be from his duo? My bet is that it will be the same thing but newer.
Override!